can't comprehend it. I don't understand. Don't know if I want to understand. It might help healing, but I don't get it. Why? How do you feel so powerful when you've just ruined somebody, not for an hour, not for 5 hours, but for the rest of their lives? That's just something they never forget. And I feel like my body is the crime scene.
This is the Everyday Warriors podcast, where courageous guests share the truth of what they've survived, what they've learnt, and how they have rebuilt their lives. I'm your host, Trudy Marie. Listen to these stories of resilience, purpose, and hope, so you can remember you're not alone. Please note that the following podcast may contain discussions or topics that could be triggering or distressing for some listeners. I aim to provide informative and supportive content, but understand that certain things may evoke strong emotions or memories. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or in need of support while listening, I encourage you to pause the podcast and take a break. Remember that it is okay to prioritise your well-being and seek assistance from trained professionals. There is no shame in this. In fact, it is the first brave step to healing. If you require immediate support, please consider reaching out to Lifeline on 13 11 14 or a crisis intervention service in your area. Thank you for listening, and please take care of yourself as you engage with the content of this podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, if you'd like to support the show and go a little deeper, you can subscribe to Everyday Warrior Moments. These are short, personal episodes from me, released between guest conversations. A few minutes of reflection, perspective, and encouragement. You can also visit my new website and apply to be a guest and share your own story. Or you can explore the Everyday Warrior Journal if you're ready to write your story in your own words. All the links you'll find in the show notes. Welcome to another episode of the Everyday Warriors podcast. And today I have a guest all the way from Sydney, Australia. So please welcome to the show, Shalina.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And we were talking off camera, and I believe your story starts all the way back to when you were 15.
Yeah, it does. It does. I was in year 10 at that time, so closer to studying my school certificate, and I was already going through a lot of bullying and racism in school, and just growing up I did not have my father around. I was raised by a single mom, and I'm Indian, so all of these things, they intersect. And when I was 15, because I didn't make friends at school, because I was going through so much bullying, so much racism, I didn't have many friends at school. So I made friends outside of school, online, or friends of friends. Not that I was always like going out with them online. I had a lot of friends online, right? Because I was 15. So I didn't really get opportunities to go out and party because my mom was like, you're too young, stay home. And I befriended wrong people. And as a result of not knowing who to trust and when to trust, and because of my trauma, I ended up going through sexual assault by 2 of them. And that happened consecutively. It happened 2 days in a row, because the first time was 2 people I trusted, and I was hanging out with them on school holidays, and they took advantage. And they were older than me by a few years, so they would have been like 18, 19 at that point. And they knew that I was not wanting to do anything. They saw it on my face. It was very obvious, but for them it seemed like it was a joke. And that ordeal would have lasted like, I don't know, 3-4 hours. It felt like it lasted a very long time. It was not ending. Unbelievable. And when it finally did, I had to go to work. I had a job. And I was in so much trauma and so much shock that I think I just went to work and I was like numb, because I didn't know what to do, how to process my emotions, what just happened, why did it happen, I was obviously blaming myself because why did I trust the wrong people? And I confided in a friend who, male, once again, he was coming down from Canberra to visit somebody else. But when I told him what happened, he was like, oh my God, like, I'll come visit you. But then when he came, he did the same thing. And I was baffled. I was like, did I not? I just told you what happened the day before. Why? I don't understand. This is not what I wanted. I didn't ask for this. Not it was, and it wasn't what I was wearing. It wasn't about me. It was so his intention must have been that, and I had no idea. And this was somebody I trusted once again online safety people. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this one. I trusted him, and when you build a rapport with somebody online, even if you haven't met them, I felt a sense of comfort because we were always talking, we were video calling. Like I felt that comfort, but obviously, once again, my decision making skills were not the best at that time.
Look, you're 15, you're a teenager,
Yeah.
you're exploring the world because you're culturally and even family dynamic kind of limited because,
Yeah.
like you said, you're not only Indian, but you're from an Indian single parent family. So there's certain cultural norms around that you've found comfort online. And given the generation we're in, it's not something that we're not familiar with. And as a police officer, I fully get what that world can be like in the sense of I used to run a program through the Australian Federal Police, but working with WA Police, where we were talking about cyber safety and going into schools and talking to kids about online safety. So I totally get what you're saying when you're talking about that. But in my head, I'm just imagining that you've just had this sexual assault happen with two people you trust. You have no one to turn to because, God forbid, you go home and tell your mum something like this. You're being bullied at school, so you've got no friends there to turn to. So the one friend you think you have then does the deplorable act again to you. So now you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
How did you even begin to process that?
I don't know, to be honest. I still sometimes ask myself, how did I endure that? I think because it happened so many years ago. What am I? I'm nearly 34. So this happened, what, like 19 years ago. I think I also accepted that men do this because since I was born, my father was never around. And I've had bad experiences with men. Like the sexual assault started when I was 11 with somebody else. So
Oh, so
unfortunately,
you hadn't even lost your virginity to these people at 15. That was already taken from you by somebody else when you were younger.
well, he was more so like touching me inappropriately, and yeah, it was more the sexual touches and putting his fingers where he didn't need to and those types of things. So yeah, it started from there, and I think I put that to the back of my mind because I was 11 and I don't know how to process something at 11. Like it was very strange. I was like, what am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to say? How do I even explain it? How do I even tell it? How do I tell the story? Like even to this day, while I'm telling you, it's like I'm still lost for words in trying to explain it because it was that crazy. It felt that crazy at the time. Yeah, so it started then. So because in my mind, I feel like I accepted that men were bad. Not all men, but just the men in my world, they were bad. That was in a way for me to cope with what happened because it was like, well, this is what women go through. This is what girls go through. This is the very thing that my mum and my family would have tried to stop from happening to me and would have wanted me to protect myself from. This is why they said don't make friends with people you don't know. This is why they said don't go out. Because that was my mentality. I was just thinking to myself, this is just what happens. It must be my bad karma because I hung out with these people without my family knowing. I blame myself. It was easier for me to blame myself in a way and to just accept that men are bad because I did not know how else to deal with it at the time. And I did not go and see a counselor because I was in school. So I was afraid that my school counselor would tell my family. So I didn't go because I think sometimes certain things they end up having to tell the family. So I couldn't trust the school counselor because I'm thinking, oh my God, everybody's going to find out. So yeah, I kept it to myself for a while. And that's why I turned to music and writing and creativity to help me cope over time. And that's why now I do counseling and I help people who are going through that and other things just because of my experience. And then I thought, you know what, I need to start talking about it because my story matters. And I know millions, hundreds of millions of women and girls across the world endure this. And I feel like it's just a topic that for some reason we don't talk about enough. I feel like people aren't angry enough about it, especially men, I feel, are not angry enough. And you might think you're one of the good ones because you don't rape. You're normal. You're not good. You're just a normal person because you don't abuse people. So I think we need to be more mad at this.
I have to agree with you on that, that there seems to be this tabooness around discussing sexual abuse, especially to women, because for the most part it happens more to women than to males. I don't want to get into the sexual discrimination side of that, but it just seems to be the norm that even with things like date rape, for example, and in some situations, I want to say that you weren't raped by a complete stranger. The abuse happened from somebody you knew and trusted, or two people, three people that you knew and trusted, that they think it's okay, like you said, even in the time while it was going on for you, that they thought it was a joke and they thought it was funny. And then the person who you thought trusted thought it was okay that, oh, well, she's already experienced it once, she can experience it again. Like,
Yeah,
what is with the mindset with that?
I don't understand. I always wondered. This is why I went and studied criminology at uni. I thought I could find answers, but I never really did. I always wondered, what is in a rapist's mind? Like, do you wake up in the morning and do you know who your target is? Do you make a decision on the spot? Like, how does that mind work? I can't comprehend it. I don't understand. Don't know if I want to understand. It might help healing, but I don't get it. Why? How do you feel so powerful when you've just ruined somebody, not for an hour, not for 5 hours, but for the rest of their lives? That's just something they never forget. And I feel like my body is the crime scene. I can't escape it. Like, I can't get out of it. Like, it's here, it's stuck in me, and I can't get go away from it. And I think that's why it's so hard to heal from it sometimes, or talk about it, or you feel the shame, or you feel disgust. I now get why people feel the disgust. It's like, for me personally, I'm the crime scene.
It's interesting when you say that about the fact that you feel attached to the crime because it happened to you personally. Your body is the crime scene, as you put it in your own words, that it's hard to detach from what has occurred because it's not like it's separate from you. It's not like it's a time or a place where if you go and visit that again, you might get triggered by it. It's your body and your body's way of reacting to certain things, even in the future. Like you said, your whole trust of men is a huge issue because the men in your life you've never been really able to trust.
Yeah. And I hate that. I hate not being able to trust, but it's safer, I feel, to not trust than it is to trust. It's not a fun world to be in when they say hope for the best but expect the worst. I feel like that's my life motto. I don't expect the best from anything. I'm always expecting the worst, or the worst possible outcome, or how do I, like, what could go wrong is more my focus, but only so I can be prepared for the worst thing. And once I'm prepared for that, I'm okay with everything else. So that's like a mindset I adapted. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's a way to cope. It has helped me cope. But I don't know. I don't know how I survived that one. Even when I tell my partner now, he gets angry hearing it. So that actually makes me feel relieved when I hear a man get angry when they hear these things. It's a sense of relief. But I do find it hard to watch things to do with the Epstein files and P. Diddy and those things. It's like I want to watch it and know what's going on. But I have to say that sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to switch off the TV. It's too much for me.
And that's totally understandable given the type of trauma that you've experienced firsthand. You're obviously, this happened to you when you were 15. It happened very quick in succession. How did you then move on from that? Because obviously this is not something you would have. Did you eventually tell your mum what had
No,
happened?
none of my family know. I didn't tell anybody. I told friends as I got older. It's such a when you tell someone who hasn't been through it, they don't know how to react. And then because they don't know how to react, you end up feeling like your problem has been minimized, like your pain has been minimized. But it's not that it is minimal, it's just they don't know how to react. So because I realized that certain people don't know how to react, I kept it to myself because some people don't know what to say. Or they'll say things like, "Oh, it happened so many years ago. You can move on from it." People say ridiculous things like that. So it was much easier for me to be quiet.
It's interesting that you say that and how social norms and society actually respond to certain things like that because they are so caught out by their own shock and their own numbness that they then don't know how to offer the support in certain circumstances instead of just being like, well, what can I do for you? What do you need from me right now? How can I help you through this?
Yeah.
It's almost like they put an imaginary wall up and are just numb to it themselves.
Yeah.
That, like you said, silly things come out of their mouth and they don't know how to respond. So then you further shut down, but that's not helping you.
No, no, it didn't. I think after that, it was sometimes when people go through sexual assault, they turn to behaviors like having sex more often as a way to get their power back. So
Promiscuity, yep.
yeah, so I think I did that. I became numb and I was doing that and I turned to music. I mean, music has been there my whole life, so I would do nothing very constructive. I didn't go to therapy. I did journal. Journaling helps, but journaling only helps if you take your journal to a therapist to unpack that. So I did part one, but I still didn't do part two of going to a therapist. I parked it at the back of my mind because at that time I had no tools and that was the best thing that I could do. And I was also doing my school certificate. I was in year 10. So I just focused on that. And then the following year, I got kicked out of school because I was so traumatized by all the things that have happened since I was a child and then all this that I stopped going to school the following year. And then I got kicked out. So I didn't do my HSC or anything like that. And I ended up at TAFE. And then my life changed because I wasn't in school and I wasn't in the environment where I was getting bullied. So I tried to leave the past in the past, and because I was so happy to be out of an environment where so much bullying was going on and trauma and racism was going on, that I tried to look for the positives of being kicked out. It was like the best thing to happen to me, to be honest. Yeah, it was over time. It was more like, all right, loving my body, loving myself. It wasn't my fault. Bad people exist. But then also turning it into something I wanted to do in my life, which was constantly raise awareness and hopefully have more men talk about this problem. Because if men talk, maybe other men will listen. Because women, we talk, but I feel like we're not heard by men until a man steps up and says the same thing we're trying to say about how bad sexual assault, the rates of it, how often it happens. So I think I turned my focus to raising awareness and doing those things. And that in turn has helped me heal. But like we were saying off camera, like healing, it never ends. It comes in waves and you ride it when something comes up. Like I'm sure after this episode, I might need to go have some tea and go for a walk or something.
Yeah, healing definitely isn't linear. It's not something that you don't also get to a final destination. I think sometimes people think, okay, you've healed, you're done,
Yeah.
you're back to normal. There is no normal, there is no healed destination. You actually get to a state where you are able to handle the emotional traumas that get thrown at you in a better way.
Yeah.
You're equipped with the tools. And those tools can vary for everybody, but it's not like there's this definitive endpoint. It's ongoing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you're constantly healing, but you can't make healing your identity. Sometimes I feel some people center their identity on healing, and it doesn't work like that. And it also, as once again we were saying off camera about the victim mentality, like I did see myself as a victim for a long time, and it didn't serve me, because at some point you can't keep referring to yourself as that. Yes, you went through something horrendous, but what came out of it? What can you do now? Can you help other people, or can you start a podcast? Can you write a song? Can you use your experience for the greater good? What can you do? I can't be a victim my whole life. It's not my personality. It doesn't serve my purpose in this life. It's very important to shift your mentality from one place to the other, because it's not your identity. Being sexually abused is not your identity. It should not be seen as that, and your world should not be based on that. So that was probably the other thing, the other thought process that helped me heal.
Yeah, and I think further to what we were talking about with that was that you are a victim of your circumstances at the time. You don't have to stay a victim your whole life and make your life about being a victim. And I think you do see that in so many cases of situations where people are like, oh, but this happened to me and this is my life. And I know even for myself, yes, certain things happened to me in the police force, and yes, I went through certain traumas, but that's not how I want to be identified moving forward, because I have so much more life to give than to be my past. And the more we bring our past into, I put it this way, I was driving home from Perth last weekend, and I was looking in through my windscreen, driving at where I was going, and I happened to glance up at the rear view mirror. And I was thinking to myself, isn't it funny how we often live our lives like our past is the windscreen and our future is the rear view mirror? They are proportioned that way for a reason.
Yeah.
Because our future is like big and wide and open and full of possibilities. And the rear view mirror is really little, because we only need to glance a portion of that, and yet it gets distorted.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't revisit my trauma until it's something I'm doing for the greater good, like sharing a story on a podcast, or talking to somebody to validate their pain, to say, hey, I understand, I've lived through that. But other than that, like you said, it's not, don't have to keep going back there. And I don't want it to be my identity. So it's very important. If I could go back, I wish I had gone to therapy earlier. Honestly, I wish I did, but I didn't. Maybe it wasn't meant for me at that point in time, I'm not sure. But looking back, that would have been number one, something I should have done very long time ago.
Yeah, and it's easy. Hindsight is 2020 vision. It's easy to say
Yeah.
what we could or couldn't have done, but it's like how we move through that. So obviously that happened in your teenage years.
Yeah.
How were things moving forward? Like you said, you left high school, you started going to TAFE, you've obviously been to uni if you've done criminology. How was it then going into your 20s? Like, what was life like for that?
In my 20s, it was still like navigating after doing my degree, and I sometimes don't even know how I finished my degree, because I was drinking a lot, I was doing drugs, trying to escape the pain, numb the pain. I still made it through. So yeah, I don't know how. But then when I hit 23, I had an abortion. I had to have an abortion, and not something I ever thought I was gonna do. I hear about it all the time. Never thought I would be the person going through it. And then the moment I saw the pregnancy test, I went into a panic I think I've never been in my life, because this thing is inside of me now. Once again, in my body. It's like it felt like I couldn't escape my body. And at that time, what I can remember is the loneliness, the fear, the panic, the anxiety, the loneliness, the guilt, the shame, like every negative emotion you could possibly think of was me. And when I went to the doctor, because I did a pregnancy test, and then I had to book in with the doctor, and no clear guidelines on what the process is. You don't even know what is the steps. Once again, a taboo topic as well. Another taboo topic. How many women probably go through it? Once again, but we don't talk about it enough. I don't think I hear about it in the news. I don't hear about it on TV. I just don't hear the word abortion. I remember sitting at the doctor's hoping somebody would guide me, but no, it was more like a transactional, okay, yep, you're pregnant. Okay, do you want to keep it? Do you not? I'm like, no. And she's like, all right, you're going to have to book in with an abortion clinic. No help, no numbers, no nothing. So I had to navigate that whole thing all by myself. And the doctor could see how scared I was. I was panicking. I was like panic crying, like trembling. That's the level of anxiety and fear I had, because I didn't want of my family to find out, because it would have been really bad at that point. So yeah, the whole process was very overwhelming, because you're making a very huge decision, and once again, not really anybody to talk about. And I didn't know one person who even went through an abortion at that time either.
And it doesn't help that it relates back to the trauma that you experienced when you were 15. You were in this place of, I can't talk to anybody about it. I can't tell anybody about it. Like, I have to go through this all on my own. And now you're in this secondary stage of that. You can only imagine, had you had to make that choice when you were back when you were 15, if one of those assaults related in an unwanted pregnancy, how you would have dealt with that back then. But now you're a young adult dealing with the same situation of just feeling alone and vulnerable and scared and no guidance. And this podcast is not about whether it's right or wrong. It's a personal choice that each individual has to make in their own lives. But like you said, there is no conversation around it. There's no guidance. There's no support. Where do you go for direction as a young woman, regardless of the circumstances that you have to make this decision? How, where, why? If you're having to do it on your own, it's making it so much more traumatic.
Yeah, because I felt trapped inside of my own mind. I couldn't escape it. Physically, I was already carrying the stress, literally. And then emotionally, I was trapped inside of my own mind. There was guilt, there was shame, there was grief, but I didn't know the term was abortion grief. In my mind, grief was associated to death. And as I got older, I realized grief is the loss or absence of something or someone. It's not necessarily death. And there was also confusion, because I knew it was a decision I had to make, but I was also struggling with it, because at that time I wanted kids. Now I don't, but at that time, so it was like, oh my God, I'm killing something inside of me. I'm a bad person. And then I had to navigate the whole thing by myself. And when you go to those clinics, they treat you like you're a number. They don't treat you like a human for some reason, because it felt like they looked down on you, like you were beneath them, like they were doing something so amazing. I mean, yes, they were fixing my problem. I needed to have an abortion, but that aura of, I don't know what the word is, maybe superiority, or I can't think of the word, but
righteousness?
Maybe you just felt very little when you went in there. That's how I felt at the time. And I can't imagine how many women have quietly have to do this, and it's the isolation. You feel isolated. And I just remember I was panicking, because I'm like, what if something goes wrong and then I have to tell my family? I was okay that I had to even make the decision to abort, but now what if something goes wrong? And I don't know, never been pregnant before. I don't even know what to expect, right? What if I'm bleeding? Something, I don't know. What if something goes wrong? So my panic when I was sitting at home was, oh my God, am I okay? Something going to happen to me? I need this to be over. I just want this to be over. So that dragging it out till I could get the appointment and then take the pill and all that stuff. Oh my God. I was drinking like no tomorrow to cope at that time.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up the coping mechanisms, is the fact that not only did you experience something so horrific at 15, that you then went into adulthood, and as you said yourself, you were a little bit promiscuous, you used drugs, you used alcohol to numb the pain. Now you're going through this new trauma in your 20s, and it's the same coping mechanisms because there is nothing else out there to help you get through this. There is no guidance or support to make sure you're okay. And at the end of the day, regardless of what your belief is around an abortion, you are still a human being having this human experience, and you're having to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Because according to society, there's a whole bunch of other crap going on of what you should or shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, the silence is the hardest part of any trauma you go through. It doesn't have to be sexual assault or abortion. Anything you go through, when you feel like you have to be silent because nobody understands or you don't know where to go, it's so hard. And at that point, Facebook was relatively new, and the groups that now there's heaps of groups on Facebook, abortion support and fatherlessness support, all types of support you're looking for, domestic violence. It exists now. You can actually connect with people, get advice and help. Back then, those things did not exist. Like, I didn't grow up with social media or Facebook when I was growing up, and when I hit 15, Facebook still didn't exist at that point in time. And when I was 23, I still didn't use it much. That could have been one of the places to get help, which is now how people connect. And no support numbers anywhere, no helplines anywhere, nothing. And then the doctors weren't exactly the friendliest either. So yeah, trying times. It's a test of what I have no idea, but it was a test of some kind, and it was that feeling of, why me? Is this not enough? Is there anything else added to this list? That's how I felt at that time. I'm like, what more? Like, anything else?
And you
Wow.
mentioned before that apart from obviously having the usual coping mechanisms that people do experience, which can then lead to its own new set of problems with addiction, but you turned to music, both back in the day when it happened to you earlier on when you were 15, but now even to this point that music has become a big part of your therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Music. I've always been musical in the sense that I've always loved to write and I sing. So I didn't know how therapeutic it could be until I started making my own music, because then I was in that world and I didn't have to think of anything else because I was doing something that made me happy. I always ask my clients or anybody who talks about trauma and coping, usually my first question is, are you a creative? Do you draw? Do you paint? Do you write? What do you do? And I tell them, like, this can really help you. So music for me was therapy, but does not replace therapy, but can help if you feel like you've got nothing else. And then that's why I started this year, particularly, I started to write music to do with themes of domestic violence and sexual assault and things that I've been through and things that women go through, my clients been through. So I want to be the voice of the voiceless, because I've been voiceless and I know what that feels like. So if I can explain something in a lyrical way and it validates somebody's pain, that's my mission, and why I chose to focus on music to do with the trauma this year, pretty much trauma music.
I love the fact that you're using something that you are passionate about to, one, process some of that healing to do with your trauma, but then to give that a purpose and to be a voice, as you said, for the voiceless who may have experienced something similar. I think is so powerful that
Mm-hmm.
you're literally transmuting your own pain into a bigger purpose, like a higher purpose.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I feel like if you have a gift of any kind, if you can use it for the greater good, I think that's why you've been given that gift. And so I'm trying to use being able to, my love for writing and my love for singing as something bigger than myself. Before, I did write music on promiscuous of promiscuous nature, and I want to shift away from that because that's not my identity. My identity, I feel, is not my identity, but who I am as a person is, I want to raise awareness of injustices and help people. So how I can do it is through podcasts and music and sharing and raising awareness. And I think that's something I can't see my life without it. I don't know who I would be if I'm not doing this. I don't know what I would be doing. There's nothing else that sparks my interest.
And it's amazing how something so small like that, and I don't mean small to minimize it, but that just that spark of hope or a spark of passion or something that brings you joy is a way for you to actually move forward and have something to live into as opposed to staying stuck in the past.
Yeah, that's what it was, because I didn't want to live like a victim. And I did that for ages. I did that for many reasons. I was like, I don't have a dad, I'm a victim. I went through sexual assault, I'm a victim. I went through bullying and racism, I'm a victim. And so I was like that. And I don't like this. At some point, you have to be sick of your own shit to make a change. So at some point, I was like, okay, I don't want to be this. I don't want to think like this anymore. It's not benefiting me, helping me move forward in my life. Like, I can't. So when you come to that realization, you have to be sick of your own shit. That's when you go get therapy. That's when you question yourself and your self-awareness. You start doing that. But first thing is actually being sick of your own thought process.
And I think you're right there, is that you have to, like the old saying is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And you can see all the other stuff out there. Oh, yeah, that person's doing that. That's good for them, but it's not going to work for me. Or this person suggested this over here, but yeah, I'm not interested. Until you actually reach a point in your own life. For me, being agoraphobic and being stuck in my own house was my rock bottom, but it was also my breaking point, is that I'm too young for this shit. I don't want to be trapped inside my own four walls anymore. I need to be out living my life. And that was the turning point for me. And I think we all come to that crux moment, whether it's giving up drinking or drugs or smoking or dieting or whatever the case may be. You have to reach a point where you're like, the only person responsible for change around here is me.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to sit around thinking to myself, oh, maybe one day the pain is going to end. Maybe one day it's just not going to hurt. But the one day never came. And that's when I was like, oh, so you mean I actually have to go to therapy now? That wasn't the plan. Because a lot of people feel like this happened to me, but I didn't cause it. Why do I have to go to therapy? I'm not the one who did wrong. Why should I have to go to therapy because of it? Well, yes, you do. In the shortest of answers, yes, you do, because you still have to find ways to cope with it, even though it was not your fault. Like, it's unfair, I understand, but what do? You can't fight it. So you have to do something about it and be the best version of yourself. But I'm still learning. And if I went to therapy tomorrow, I'm sure something will come up that I probably haven't thought about. But there's no shame in it. It doesn't matter who you are. You should still get help. You think it's something to be ashamed about? It's really not. We all need it. When you're telling somebody to go to therapy, you're literally telling them, hey, go be the best version of yourself. Go do something great with yourself. Go be the best version. I think that's really good advice to give.
I've never really thought about it that way, but that's such a good mindset to have around therapy. It's not, and I've said this in the past, you're not broken. You don't need fixing. But if you can adapt and create a higher version of your life, live your best life, then you do whatever it takes to get there. And if that includes therapy, then by all means, go do it.
Yeah, that's what I say to people. Go to therapy and live your best life. That's what therapy helps you to do. And it helps you to find ways to process your trauma, whatever it is, and how you can cope with it and your options. Like, for me, music is an option. Writing is an option. Being on podcasts is an option. You have so many options with channeling your pain that you restrict yourself when you don't get the support and the help you need. You end up restricting yourself, which is what I did. But now, obviously not. But like I said, I wish I had gone earlier. Yeah, I think it would have changed my life sooner rather than later.
But timing is perfect. There are certain things you need to go through in life that you do it when you need to do it. There is no time frame of when you should or shouldn't. It's part of the process. And you go when you're ready. You go when the timing is actually right for what you need in your life at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a few people who are just absolutely not ready at all, but they still need it. And I wonder if not being ready can still help you get help. Surely it could, but it also is that the timing part. Sometimes I think maybe if I had gone when I was 16, the way I processed things when I was 16 would have been so different to 26, 27, 28. So maybe I was a bit more emotionally intelligent by my late 20s. So maybe I process things in a better way. So, like you said, timing.
Yeah, and I think even with therapy doesn't have to be going to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor,
Yeah.
whatever the case is for you. I think there is, like you said, music is therapy, art is therapy, creativity is therapy, exercise is
Yeah.
therapy. Go do something that is going to help you shift, because at the end of the day, emotions are energy in motion. And if we don't move it from our bodies in some form, then it's going to stay stuck. And I know some phenomenal artists who their work is all about their pain and their trauma, but they create stunning art. People go write books, people write music. Some of the music we listen to, even in our modern regime, it's all come from somebody's pain and trauma. I mean, look, country western is, and you look at, say, the likes of Taylor Swift, it all comes from bad breakups and relationships. But
Yes.
that's pain transmuted into something else that's for everybody else's enjoyment. I think we just have
Yeah.
to think bigger than our own minds.
So true. Well, pain is art. Pain can be art. That's what it is. I mean, and then art imitates life. So, that's why I'm a big advocate of use your creativity to do something and move your body, especially like sexual assault victims. You feel like it's within you in your own body. So do something to move your body and gain your power back through exercise, through getting fitter or dance, whatever it is, because that helps you physically to cope and maybe not feel the disgust, because a lot of people going through sexual violence do feel the disgust within them. So do something beautiful for your own body, and that helps with healing as well.
I think that's an amazing piece of wisdom to take forward for any listener who has potentially been through something similar to yourself. I want to thank you so much for sharing your story so vulnerably and just giving a piece of yourself so that, potentially another listener out there can move forward the same way you're moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you for your platform that people can come on and talk. And this is actually therapy as well, by the way. Just so healing to just talk about it in a place where no judgment exists, because that's what we need, like places of safety and non-judgment. And then you feel safe enough to start trusting people. Like, I haven't met you before, but I feel so comfortable and safe just telling you all the things I just did. And so, yeah, thank you for your platform.
I really do appreciate that, because that is why the podcast exists, is to give people like yourself a voice to tell your story, because everybody has one and everybody deserves to be heard. So I really do appreciate what you said, and I'm just glad I got to be able to have this conversation with you and share that.
Me too. Me too. I'm feeling healed a little more. I didn't even expect that. So that's a good thing.
I'm so happy. And to finish off the podcast episode, as I always do, what is the one thing you are most grateful for today?
Oh, I'm grateful that I can reach people who are suffering, because I was that person. So I'm grateful to be able to give back where I can, in whichever form I can do that in. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for tuning in to the Everyday Warriors podcast. If you have an idea for a future episode or a story you'd like to share yourself, then please reach out and message me, as I am always up for real, raw, and authentic conversations with other everyday warriors. Also, be sure to subscribe so that you can download all the latest episodes as they are published, and spread the word to your family and friends and colleagues so they can listen in too. If you're sharing on social media, please be sure to tag me so that I can personally acknowledge you. I'm always open to comment about how these episodes have resonated with you, the listener. And remember, Lead with love as you live this one wild and precious life.